All right. Welcome back to the 50 Plus Fitness Fanatic Podcast. I am your host, Dr. Eric Davis. And before I hand things over to my AI co hosts, I want to open with a moment that changed the way I looked at my own fitness. You see, a few years ago, I walked into a building where the elevator was out of service. No big deal, just 4 flights of stairs. But by the time I reached the top, I was bent over, breathing hard, feeling every step in a way that didn't match the life I wanted to live. That moment hit me harder than the climb itself. It was a wake up call, the kind that doesn't shout, it whispers, do something. That day became the beginning of my comeback. And as I rebuilt my strength, my confidence, and my discipline, I discovered 3 key elements that completely reshaped my journey. Now, I'm not revealing them yet. That's what my AI co host will break down today. But I will tell you this, once I found them, everything else started moving in the right direction. So let's get into it. I'm turning the mic over to my AI co host for today's conversation on staying fit after 50.
By the time you blow out the 50 candles on your birthday cake, uh, your body is quietly undergoing this massive fundamental biological shift.
Yeah, it really is.
And if it's left unchecked, you could be losing up to like 1 to 2% of your muscle mass every single year from that day forward.
Which is terrifying when you think about it.
It is. It's a silent leak in the hull of your physical independence. But well, before we get into exactly how to patch that leak, a huge thank you to Dr. Eric Davis for welcoming us to today's deep dive.
Absolutely.
That personal story he shared in the introduction about his own fitness journey was just undeniably powerful.
So powerful. It really sets a perfect stage for this.
It does. But as inspiring as his journey is, our mission right now is to pivot the spotlight directly onto you, the listener. We want to extract the actual mechanics of that success and, apply them to your daily life.
Right, because, inspiration might get you to buy a gym membership, but understanding the cellular mechanics of how your aging body actually works well, that's what prevents you from quitting 3 weeks later.
Yes.
The biological rules of the game change at 50, and you just have to change your strategy to match.
So today, we are hunting for something very specific. We are uncovering the number one thing your body needs after 50. And I know the immediate expectation here.
Oh, for sure.
We're totally conditioned to wait for the reveal of a specific superfood, right?
Yeah.
Or some patented supplement, or maybe a secret ancient stretching routine.
We all want the silver bullet. It's human nature.
Right.
But the reality of human physiology is much more complex, and frankly, I think it's a lot more fascinating. When we talk about this quote-unquote number one thing, we're actually looking at a master formula.
Okay.
It's a synergistic 3-part triad, and it is entirely impossible to separate these 3 components because in the over 50 demographic, if you isolate or ignore just one of them, the entire biological system basically compromises itself.
So to truly optimize fitness in this demographic, we have to stop looking for just a single variable. We are exploring how protein, strength training, and rest form a single inseparable unit. Because the body over 50 operates with a much shrinking margin for error, we lose that physiological forgiveness we had at 25.
The loss of forgiveness. That is such a great way to frame it because efficiency drops across the board.
Right.
Your digestive system, your nervous system, your endocrine system, they all require a much more precise set of inputs now to yield the exact same output. And that is why this triad has to be viewed as one complete entity.
Well, let's get into the very first pillar of that triad then. Because before you can build, repair, or maintain absolutely anything in the human body, you need the raw materials actually delivered to the cellular job site.
Yes.
Which brings us to protein. We all know protein builds muscle. But why does crossing the 50-year mark suddenly elevate protein from just a, simple macronutrient to a critical longevity tool?
Well, it comes down to a phenomenon called anabolic resistance.
Okay, what is that?
So when you're in your 20s, your body is essentially a sponge for amino acids, the building blocks of protein.
Right.
Your body synthesizes them into muscle tissue with just incredible ease. But as we age, the biochemical pathways that signal muscle growth become really blunted.
We're talking about the mTOR pathway, correct? Like the cellular switch that basically tells the body, hey, it's time to build and repair tissue.
That is the exact mechanism.
Yeah.
mTOR is the foreman on the construction site.
Okay.
In a younger body, it doesn't take much to wake the foreman up and get him to start building. But in an older body, the foreman gets kind of hard of hearing.
Oh, I see.
So if you eat 15 or 20 grams of protein, say, a couple of eggs and some toast in your 30s, your body triggers mTOR and starts synthesizing muscle right away.
Right.
But if you eat that exact same 20 grams at 55, your body might not even register the signal. The threshold to trigger that repair process goes up significantly.
So it's not just a matter of your total daily protein, it's the actual dosage per meal. You need a louder signal.
Exactly, a much louder signal.
What does that louder signal actually look like on a dinner plate?
It looks like a minimum of 30 to 40 grams of high-quality protein in a single sitting.
Wow, okay.
Yeah, and the key driver here is a specific amino acid called leucine. Leucine is the finger that actually flips that mTOR switch.
Got it.
So to get the 3 to 4 grams of leucine required to overcome that anabolic resistance, you generally need about 30 to 40 grams of total protein from sources like chicken, beef, fish, or like a high-quality whey or plant-based blend.
Well, I want to challenge that specific number for a second because a really persistent piece of nutritional dogma is that the human body can only absorb about 20 to 25 grams of protein in one sitting anyway.
Oh, I hear this all the time.
Right. So if we're telling someone to consume 40 grams of protein to overcome this resistance, aren't they just creating expensive urine with the excess?
No, not at all. That is a total myth that stems from a fundamental misunderstanding of gastric emptying, amino acid oxidation.
Oh, really?
Yeah, your body will digest and absorb almost all the protein you consume. The digestive tract just slows down to accommodate larger loads.
Okay.
So while it is true that muscle protein synthesis caps out at a certain point per meal, the aging body actually requires that larger bolus of 30 to 40 grams just to hit that cap in the first place.
Ah, that makes sense. So the extra isn't wasted.
Exactly. The extra amino acids don't just vanish. They're used for other critical functions like producing enzymes, building neurotransmitters, and supporting your immune system.
Let's contextualize this for the listener then. Think about your own dietary habits right now. Are you unconsciously starving your body's infrastructure?
Most people are.
Because a typical diet of, say, a bagel for breakfast, a light salad for lunch, and a moderate piece of fish for dinner, that might have kept you lean at 35. But at 55, that same diet is basically a recipe for sarcopenia.
And sarcopenia isn't just about looking less toned in the mirror.
Right.
It is the age-related loss of muscle mass and, crucially, muscle function. It specifically targets your type 2 fast-twitch muscle fibers.
Okay, those are the power fibers.
Yes, those are the fibers responsible for power and reaction time.
The ones that literally catch you when you trip on a rug so you don't break your hip.
Precisely. Losing those fibers is literally the difference between an independent life and a dependent one.
Wow.
Protein is the non-negotiable raw material required to preserve those specific fibers.
Having a massive pile of the highest quality lumber and bricks just sitting in your driveway doesn't mean a house is going to build itself.
No, it doesn't.
The foreman that mTOR pathway we talked about might be awake because you ate the protein, but if he doesn't have a blueprint or a reason to build, the materials just sit there. Which brings us perfectly to the second pillar of our triad, strength training.
The mechanical stimulus. It is the architectural blueprint being handed to the construction crew.
Well, I want to look at the clinical reality of this because the cultural narrative around aging is usually about preservation through caution.
Oh, definitely. Take it easy. Go for a walk.
Exactly. So if I'm speaking for a listener who has, say, severe osteoarthritis, their knees are bone on bone, they have chronic lower back stiffness, maybe their cartilage is degraded.
Right.
Telling them to put heavy loads on those already compromised joints sounds like a fast track to a joint replacement. How is lifting heavy things not inherently destructive to an aging structural system?
It's a super valid concern, but it fundamentally misunderstands how joints and connective tissues receive their nutrition in the first place.
How so?
Cartilage doesn't have its own blood supply. It operates basically like a sponge.
Okay.
So it relies on the mechanical compression and decompression of movement to soak up nutrients from the synovial fluid in the joint capsule and then flush out the metabolic waste.
So by avoiding heavy loads and just sticking to gentle, low-impact movements to quote-unquote protect the joint, you are actually starving the cartilage of the very nutrients it needs to survive.
Yes, exactly. Total offloading accelerates joint degradation.
Wow, that is wild.
Yeah. Furthermore, strength training is governed by Wolff's Law, which states that bone grows and remodels in direct response to the forces placed upon it.
Okay.
So when you subject your skeleton to the mechanical tension of resistance training, osteoblasts, which are the cells that build bone, are stimulated to increase bone mineral density.
The body is just the ultimate adaptation machine.
Really is.
It operates strictly on a use it or lose it mandate because muscle is, well, it's metabolically expensive tissue. If you aren't sending a strong, undeniable signal that you require that muscle to survive your environment, your body will happily dismantle it to conserve energy.
The biological frugality of the human body just cannot be overstated.
Right.
When you lift weights, use resistance bands, or even perform rigorous body weight exercises, you create micro tears in the muscle fibers. You're introducing a controlled stress.
And that stress is the signal.
Yes, that stress is the survival signal. It tells your nervous system, hey, we encountered a load today that we barely handled. We need to take that dietary protein and build these fibers back thicker, stronger, and more resilient so we don't fail next time.
Which shifts the entire paradigm of why we exercise. You aren't lifting weights to look like a bodybuilder. You are lifting weights to send a biological survival signal.
Exactly.
And the metabolic benefits extend far beyond just muscular strength, right?
Yeah.
Like skeletal muscle acts as a massive sink for glucose.
Oh, it's huge. It is the largest endocrine organ in the body.
Really?
Yeah. When you maintain healthy, active muscle mass through resistance training, you dramatically improve your insulin sensitivity. The muscle cells become highly receptive to pulling glucose straight out of the bloodstream.
So frontline defense?
A massive frontline defense against metabolic syndrome and type 2 diabetes, which just skyrocket in the over 50 demographic.
So, I mean, the gentle neighborhood walk is wonderful for cardiovascular health, lymphatic drainage, and mental well-being.
Okay.
But we have to be intellectually honest about its limitations.
We do.
A walk does not send a strong enough architectural blueprint to halt the loss of type 2 muscle fibers. It won't help you wrestle a heavy suitcase into an overhead bin, and it definitely won't give you the power to get up off the floor unassisted.
No, it won't. Strength training is the catalyst. It forces the body to utilize the protein. But here is the critical pivot point of the entire triad.
Okay.
The adaptation does not happen during the workout.
Because while you are lifting, you're actively inducing trauma.
Right.
You are breaking the muscle down, depleting your glycogen stores, and accumulating metabolic waste. You are physically weaker when you leave the gym than when you walked in.
Exactly.
Which brings us to the final and perhaps the most chronically misunderstood piece of this master formula: rest.
The physiological state where the actual adaptation occurs.
We really have to unpack the cultural baggage around rest. We operate in this society that glorifies the grind, you know?
Absolutely. Team no sleep.
Right, the mentality that sleep is a luxury, or that rest days are just a sign of weakness. I think a lot of people view rest as simply the absence of activity, like just doing nothing.
Right.
But biologically, rest is a highly active, demanding state, isn't it?
It is arguably the most active state for your internal biology. We need to completely abandon the idea of rest as a passive void.
Okay, so what's actually happening?
Let's look at what happens when you finally lie down and enter deep, slow-wave sleep. Your body transitions from a sympathetic nervous system state, which is the fight-or-flight mode dominated by adrenaline and cortisol, into a parasympathetic state, the rest and digest mode.
And cortisol is a catabolic hormone. It breaks tissue down.
Right.
You literally cannot build or repair muscle efficiently in a high cortisol state.
Exactly. The moment cortisol drops during deep sleep, your endocrine system orchestrates a massive release of human growth hormone.
Okay, I love this.
Think of it like a night shift crew entering an office building.
Okay, paint the picture.
So during the day, the office is full of frantic activity. That's your workout and your daily stress. But at night, the daytime workers leave. The night shift crew comes in. Macrophages, which are a type of white blood cell, they act as the janitorial staff.
Cleaning up the mess.
Exactly, clearing out the inflammatory debris and metabolic waste from the micro tears you caused in the gym. Then, the growth hormone and testosterone act as the construction crew, taking the amino acids from the protein you ate and synthesizing them into new, stronger muscle tissue.
So if you are sleeping 5 hours a night or, your sleep architecture is just ruined by alcohol or doom scrolling until 1 a.m., you are essentially firing the night shift crew before they finish the job.
That's a perfect way to put it.
You're constantly tearing down the house over and over without ever letting the cement dry.
Yes. And this brings up a concept that rarely gets enough attention, especially for folks over 50. Central nervous system, or CNS, fatigue.
Oh, interesting.
When we talk about rest, we aren't just talking about the muscle tissue itself feeling sore. We are talking about the brain's ability to communicate with those muscles.
This is a huge distinction.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you don't feel physically sore at all, but you go to the gym and the weights just feel impossibly heavy, like your body just says no.
That is CNS fatigue. When you lift heavy weights, the motor cortex in your brain has to send a massive electrical signal down your spinal cord to recruit those high-threshold type 2 muscle fibers.
Right.
Over time, without adequate rest between sessions, that neural pathway just gets fried. The brain physically struggles to send a strong enough signal to fire the muscle. So even if the muscle tissue is fully repaired, the electrical grid powering it is compromised.
Man, for the over 50 demographic, this requires a brutal level of self-awareness.
It really does.
Because our central nervous system recovery is naturally slower than it was at Cone 5. You cannot smash yourself with high-intensity workouts 6 days a week and survive on minimal sleep. You will inevitably hit a wall of systemic fatigue or even worse, a severe injury.
Rest days and prioritizing 7 to 8 hours of quality sleep are not luxuries. They are fundamental, non-negotiable requirements for the equation to balance.
Right.
Because if you never give the body true deep rest, the 40 grams of protein you meticulously tracked is largely wasted.
Wow.
And the effort you spent pushing through osteoarthritis fears in the gym also wasted.
It really all comes back to the unbreakable synergy of this triad.
Yeah,
It's a beautifully closed biological loop.
it really is.
You consume the specific leucine-rich protein to supply the raw replacement parts and trigger the mTOR pathway. You lift the challenging weights to send the survival signal and provide the architectural blueprint. And then you fiercely protect your rest to allow the parasympathetic night shift crew to actually execute the construction.
And if you master how those three elements interact within your aging physiology, you aren't just slowing down the clock.
Right.
You are fundamentally changing the trajectory of your physical decline. You are literally buying yourself decades of functional, capable, independent living.
So we want to leave you with something actionable to chew on, not just abstract theory, but a real-world application for your life today.
And this requires total honesty on your part.
Yep.
If you had to perform a ruthless audit of your own routine right this minute, which of these three pillars is your weakest link? Is it the precise dosing of your protein intake to overcome that anabolic resistance?
Or is it a lack of genuine mechanical tension in your strength training?
Or is it the compromised quality of your parasympathetic rest? And more importantly, what would happen if, for just the next 7 days, you focused entirely on fixing that one specific weak point?
Imagine the compound interest on your health from just 1 week of getting that missing piece right. We've unpacked the underlying mechanics of the triad, but the application is entirely in your hands. Thank you so much for joining us for this deep dive. And with that, we are going to officially turn the show right back over to Dr. Eric Davis for his final closing comments.
All right, we're back. And what a great breakdown from our AI co-host. And now I can finally name the triad they explored today: protein, strength training, and sleep. 3 simple, powerful levers that can transform your fitness after 50. Thank you all so much for spending part of your day with us. Your commitment to staying strong, staying active, and staying engaged in this chapter of life inspires me every single episode. I appreciate you, I am proud of you, and I'll see you at the next episode. Take care, everybody.
In your strength training.